Hey, it's Angie with News OK, and I am here with Passion for Food columnist Cheryl Jones. And today this is another one of our Thanksgiving series segment videos. And today we're making stock and gravy.
Right, and this is what I took out of the turkey. And I've put a little tiny bit of butter in a pan, and I do mean a tiny amount, about a teaspoon, just enough to melt and cover the bottom of a saucepan. And I'm going to put the neck in there, and I'll put the gizzard in.
Is it on high? How
it's kind of a medium to medium high. And then this is that little tail piece that we cut off, and the heart. I'm not going to put the liver in right now, or the juices, but I'll put that in later when I bring this to a simmer. And I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. And what I want to do is let this brown, these pieces brown in this pan. Once it gets brown, then we'll be able to take some stock and deglaze the pan, or you could deglaze it with a little bit of sherry if you were just making gravy. But we're going to use some of our stock. We want to have some to put on the dressing, and that. So I'm not going to put the sherry in it till the last minute. So, but sometimes if I'm just using this for gravy, deglaze it with that sherry, and it smells so good. And so I love to do that. Anyway. Okay, there we go. We'll let that start to do. And I add also some just trimmings. You can put your pieces of onion that you peeled the onion, even these yucky little pieces, the trimmings off the celery and the carrots. And again, we're continuing that flavor that we put in the turkey. So we've got all those things, and then a few herbs as well. And once everything browns, and we'll just keep kind of browning the meat, browning the pieces of onion. See, now this one is, you know, I can kind of turn that. Now, in my first batch that I made, I got the pieces very dark and brown, so I ended up with something that was quite, the stock was quite dark and brown. And there are other ways, other things that you can do to make it more brown if you want. So I'm going to put this aside till later. And then once you get things sort of brown, and we're going to push this a little bit, but normally I would get this piece of meat and those things a lot more brown. And then I add some stock, and this is just the Swanson's broth. And then here is a new product that is actually stock. So the cool thing about using this to simmer these things is you have double stock, which is so full of flavor, and everyone will go, wow, to know you could make such a fabulous meal. So you've got an opportunity here to do something.
Is this chicken broth as well?
This is chicken stock. And so we're going to actually enhance this with our turkey. So we make it really nicely turkey flavored. And the key to this is the whole time our turkey's cooking, this is simmering on a low heat, or for at least an hour or 2 hours, up to 2 hours. And as it simmers, you don't want it to just boil all the time. You just want a little tiny steaming to it, and you'll kind of skim some of the pieces, some of the stuff that might float up to the top. You kind of skim that off as you cook it, and it just makes a wonderful aromatic
it does smell
thing
good
to use for your gravy. And I just used my colander and poured the pan juices out. Now this stock, like I told you, I browned the heck out of my onions and pieces in there, so that got much darker than normally it would be. Normally it's more of a golden color. But this is just the pure stock, and I use a little gravy separator, which is nice because you can pour from the bottom, and any fats that are at the top will come to the top of the pan.
Oh, wow.
And then you can pour. See, the spigot starts down here, and so you can pour from there. And these are, gosh, these are $3 or $4 at the discount stores, and they're just really handy, and you can also use them as a liquid measuring cup. And then there are more elaborate ones.
Oh, they're
more like this.
Right.
More elaborate and designed that you can put really hot liquid if you need to do that. And we'll show you how to do that too.
All right. So. Okay, the stock is done, so now we're going to move on to the gravy. So if you've had a practice turkey or something, you've got the juices.
You've got the juices, and I wouldn't, if you do this with a hot pan, keep all the little ones out of the kitchen, out of harm's way, and get someone to help you steady the base and pour. And of course, if the pan is still hot, you'll be using a set of pot holders on this. So You want to be sure that it's nice and sturdy. I've still got some left. And what this does, these things, again, you know, your fat's going to come to the top, and then you can pour out just the plain juices here. And I'm going to sit this on the edge of the container. Or you can just use stock that's already prepared.
There you go.
But this will have your, because we cook the turkey, this is from cooking the turkey, you have the nice turkey flavor in that. And there is a subtle difference in the turkey and the chicken.
So you can do this after you have fixed the turkey then.
Exactly, exactly.
And while it's cooling.
Right. And I like to use Wonder of flour. And it has a way of cooking. It has, I don't know, it's just the granules of the flour blend better with it. And you wouldn't want to do this with hot stock, but you could do it with cold stock.
Okay.
Like so.
Look at that.
And we're going to mix it with a flour before. This is going to be the anti-lumping method.
I love this little contraption. This is
it's
fabulous.
good. See, here you can see the fat gathering at the top, and so we're not going to be consuming that.
Right.
And we don't have to start. If you started with you could also put that same amount of flour and the same amount of butter in the pan and cook it till it browns, and then do it. But then you're consuming that much more butter. So I just hate to do that. Because we're consuming a lot of stuff over Thanksgiving anyway.
I know it.
So,
but it's good and it's worth it.
Oh, it's good. It's so good.
So you shake it up.
Shake it up.
Okay.
Like so. Now I've got most of that flour is dissolved in there.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to put it in the pan.
Looks a little more gravy-like.
Looks a little more gravy-like. Now, this is really important. You must cook the flour to a boil because you don't want the gravy to taste like flour. And you could use cornstarch instead of flour. I think it makes it glisten perhaps a little bit more, but I like the taste of the cooked flour better than the cornstarch.
Now you can actually burn flour, right?
Oh yeah, you could. You could just brown the flour with the butter like I was talking about, but then you're going to have more fat in your finished gravy. So you can do it that way, and we can save some of this to go with our dressing. Okay. And we could add more of the stock, and then we're going to just
How much stock do you put in there?
Oh gosh, as much gravy as you want.
Okay.
You're going to do that, and this would make, because of the amount that we used, this would make about a quart or more of gravy, and you can assign someone that's just learning or wanting to help in the kitchen to stir the gravy until it thickens.
Okay. Okay. So about how long is this generally?
Oh gosh, 5 minutes.
Oh wow.
5 minutes, not very long.
Nice.
And you want to cook it till it bubbles. This one you do want it to bubble and boil, and you kind of see it change.
Okay, it looks good, Cheryl.
Oh yes, it's nice, and I like to cook it till it's nice and silky. Now the other thing about this one is it's kind of pale. So I'm going to add a little bit of kitchen browning, a little browning liquid, and this one doesn't have MSG in it, so it's kind of okay. And you just put a little tiny, a few drops in at a time, till you get the gravy the color you want. It adds a little bit of browned flavor to it. Okay. And then
look at that! It sure does.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
So, and you could put a little more if you want it to be even a little darker. And I think that's a pretty color.
That is very pretty.
And then I love, on poultry or turkey gravy, I love to have some sherry in it. And and I use the Bristol cream sherry. Okay. And I've tried some that aren't quite as nice as sherry, and they don't taste as good as
But
this
how
one.
much?
Oh, just a little splash or 2 little splashes.
Yeah.
Whichever. Just a tiny splash. If you think of it like vanilla, you know, it adds a huge amount of flavor to that. Or you could even use a splash of apple juice in it or apple cider in it.
You can get creative.
Nice. You can get very creative. And then, of course, I taste for seasoning. And I always like to add a little bit of pepper. You could, if you don't want the pepper to show, you could use white pepper in it. And I taste it to see if it's salty enough. And, you know, because I don't salt a lot, but different stocks and broths that you're going to use
will have that.
Right. Sure. Right. And then if you don't want to prepare this ahead of time, I can take...
If you don't have time.
Yeah, if you don't have time, you can buy a starter. I call it a gravy starter.
There we go.
And this one is exquisite. It comes from Williams-Sonoma, and it's about $10.50
so you just add
a
some
jar.
water?
But it'll save you some work and time on getting this ready ahead of time.
There you go.
And then what you do is the last thing to kind of make it do really well is you add some of the cooking liquid from your turkey.
Okay.
If you want to add that after the turkey's cooked, just to give it some of the turkey flavor.
There you go.
And and the recipes for the proportions of flour to that.
Yeah,
for the
well that
starter.
looks
Great.
fabulous.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful, silky, nice gravy.
Definitely. Thank you so much,
topper.
Cheryl. For more on her column, just check out the Oklahoman, and you will see her column in the life section, I believe, and it'll be on stock and gravy. And make sure you also check out this week's dressing video. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Let's see it.